silence for 6 armed services soldiers that we recently lost. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Appreciate you coming this evening to the March 4th meeting. First, we'll open up the public hearing to have the public hearing for the sewer facility revenue fee for deficit finance bond. So with that, can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion?
Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Questions, comments, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Public hearing is now open for any comments in regards to which we have probably discussed over the last 2-3 meetings or so. This is the additional $25 fee that will be added to your quarterly bill, and specifically for the sewer fund, because that was the majority of the deficit that was identified by New York State, and they recommended that we take the money, put money in that fund, and pay the money out of that fund for the majority of the $1.6 million that we owe New York State over the next 5 years. So if there was any questions about that, it will be, again, on your bill quarterly. It will be a separate line on your bill. So the facilities charge will be the normal $58, and then below that, what we'll try to do is change the description every year so we can keep track of it, and we know when we've reached the 5-year limit, and then that fee will go away. Okay, that's basically all it is. I use that term my wife hates, the end of the day. Yes, Bill?
Bill River, Washington Boulevard. Just curious, I know it's not Q&A, this is just commentary, but is there any reason that the local law that's written doesn't have an expiration on the $25? It's supposed to be for roughly 5 years, right?
Correct.
And it recoups like $900,000 over 5 years, given the number
Yeah, we do,
of
given
meters we
the
have and everything else. So
never thought about an expiration date on it, to be honest with you. We were just gonna do the 5 years,
in
and
5
then, like I
years, a
said,
new law, either
take
new
the
law
fee
will
off
pass,
of it.
right?
Sorry?
So at the end of 5 years, either a new law has to be passed, or a law revised, or we just have to keep paying it.
Yeah, well, your thoughts, is it?
Yes, I mean,
Put an
that,
expiration on
there's no expiration on it. If, at the end of the time period to pay back, then the village can pass another law removing that.
it? To remove it, okay, okay.
Are you looking for a sunset clause, is that what you're
Something
thinking?
like that, yeah. I mean, it's, the idea, as I understand it, is to recoup a majority of the bond, right?
Correct.
Right.
900,000 is majority of the bond. So at the end of 5 years, when the bond is now extinguished, I assume, or hope,
Yep.
then is that fee then necessary, considering what it was being submitted for, what it was being charged for, has been recovered and recouped?
I mean, by law, if we need to have another local law to remove it, then we will do that, but at the end of that term anyway, we'll just remove the bill, or remove that fee off the bill, and in essence, it's gone. But, you know, if legally we need the law, then that's what we'll do, and that'll be done in 5 years.
I think his question was, since we're creating the law, can't we put the sunset
The sunset,
clause
yeah.
already
That's
into
right, yeah.
this, so automatically in 5
Right.
years it goes
And I
away?
guess any issue with that?
We could redraft the law, but then there would have to be another public hearing.
Another public
Yeah,
hearing?
we're running
Start
out of
over
time.
again.
Excuse me. So in March, April,
Yeah, it's just like many things.
May.
I grew up in New Jersey, we got the New Jersey Parkway tolls to pay for the road, and they're still charging them, and the road's been paid off for decades. So,
that's why you moved to New York.
So the next.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea. Board's feeling, if you want, we can table this one and just revise and
Put
do it. I mean, we
sunset-
do have time. If the May billing is a few months off, we have
Yeah.
enough time to re-advertise the new with the
Sunset
expiration.
clause.
Sunset,
We can't just do that.
no, no, but good suggestion,
Permission for the
okay. Any other,
That might help the residents too, if they know it's in writing that it's only so long.
yeah, no, it makes good sense, I like it. Okay. Any other questions on the public hearing? All right, so with that, the board will hold this particular, we'll close the public hearing, and we will rewrite to put in a termination date, expiration date, and we'll be back potentially, I would say at this point, April, because it's got to be posted for 10 days, et cetera.
Yeah.
So all those windows need to be opened and closed before we can talk about it, so, okay?
As long as we attend it by our April 15th meeting.
So I'm gonna close the public hearing. Have a motion to do so?
Motion to close.
Motion is Donna, second
Second.
is Steve. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, and one absent, Vern. Okay. So with that. Public comment on agenda items, anybody? Sean?
I'd like to ask a question about Green Light Fiber. Are they the ones that started on North Street going up towards Father Tierney Circle?
Yes.
They need to have something in their law when they're working, they need to clean the street, because it's running, a lot of dirt's in the street from it. I know it was on top of snow when it got done, but they could have thrown that on, off the road. And it's running into the catch basin, which we're cleaning.
Right.
A lot of it's washing down with the rain, but they need to protect the catch basins when they're doing this. They need to clean the street after they're done with it.
Yeah,
I don't know if they also did some previous work on, like, from Washingtonville going west, east. Somebody was over there with a big wide something on front of a loader, scraped the sidewalk, pushed all the dirt to the other side of the street. Now that side's got a load of dirt there, that's gonna run into the catch basin. I don't know if that was them or not.
where was this on East Main?
Not on East Main, I'm sorry, on Ahern,
On Ahern.
west of, or east of Washington.
East of
It was one of those
Washington.
big, you know, that they use in parking lots,
Yeah, yeah,
up
yeah.
on the sidewalk, scraped it, pushed some of it up to Memorial Park, and pushed some of it on the other side of the road. So
Okay,
it's all dirt.
it's, yeah, all right.
They gotta get rid of the dirt. It's coming with the catch basins that we're cleaning out. They should protect the catch basins, and they shouldn't be leaving the mess behind.
No, there shouldn't be any mess left behind.
But I don't even know if it was them, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody working over there except for that.
Well, we'll check that area, Sean, and if it's,
It was in the contract.
you know, they have to clean
Responsible
up.
for it.
Yeah, well, they didn't do it. I walked again today, and it's still a mess.
Okay,
And I'm not talking about off the road, I'm talking about in the road.
yeah,
But it is washing away with the rain.
all right, we'll check it. Because they are still working in the village. I was gonna make an announcement on a couple of streets and so forth that they'll be working on shortly within the Stone Ridge area. Because they are doing aerial fiber as well as underground fiber. And while you're talking about Ahern Boulevard off of North Street, they were the guys that hit the gas main with an auger. And that's, what was it, Wednesday night?
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Losing track of time here.
Wednesday.
Wednesday night, we were out there from approximately 3 o'clock to 7:30, making sure everything was secured. And everything became secure when they were able to isolate the break just to that area. And if it was worse than that, then we were there to make sure or to know how many homes basically northbound of Avon Boulevard would have been interrupted, had no heat, and they didn't really want to get into that scenario because it was going to be cold that evening, so they spent an extra amount of time in trying to figure it out. You know, O&R is owned by Con Ed, so they were working from New York City up here, looking at maps, trying to figure out the best way to do it. So what they ended up doing was they have a valve that was on North Street, there was a valve all the way down to Washington Boulevard. Anybody north of that, if that's the two valves they had to operate, would have been out of heat. So they brought in a hydrovac just on the other side of, just north of Brotherhood, and they hydrovac'd out with the dirt and all the good stuff, got down to the pipe, and then plastic pipe is down there, but they have a machine, can't remember what he called it, but it's basically like a vise, and it basically very slowly takes the plastic pipe and pinches it to the point where there's no gas going through the pipe. And they check the area to make sure no one's getting less or more gas, everything checked out, and from that point, then they were just in normal repair mode. And they finished the job, sometime that evening. They had our phone numbers if anything went wrong, but the gas was secure and everything was fine, and no homes were interrupted. So that was the goal of the night, so that's what happened there.
So,
Yeah,
so that's like digging 101 now, all right? I mean, you said they were there in August,
they were digging an auger because,
they didn't call, nobody called 811?
oh, no, they did, they did.
It was
They
all
called
set up.
811, so it was either a bad mark, a misread, however they're gonna analyze it, it's up to them. But there were 811 markings out there.
They
There were
marked it in-
flags,
They marked it in the snow, Tom.
and they did, I know they marked it in the snow. Not my call, would have been me, but, that's
And we moved.
how it flies. So they were putting in their second hole for the platform that you see out there now is installed. That's gonna be a fiber termination box with power. And, that'll be there, and they're gonna put ballards around it, et cetera. So at the end of the day, that's the touches on that. So while we're still talking about green light fiber, they're gonna be doing installations on Decker Drive, York Place, Cambridge, finishing up High Grove, Amber's Way, and Hopkins Court, and getting that all completed. And again, they are being inspected by the building inspector and DPW, so when they're done, yeah, it's gonna look a little rough, but when they're completed, it should be raked, seeded, and taken care of. And we've had a couple of calls where it didn't look really pretty, so we sent them back out there to fix whatever the resident really desired. So that's where we are with that. And so,
Tom, are they gonna go through the whole village?
yes, either mostly the new areas are underground because everything is underground. Anything else, like your street, my street, everything is aerial. Everything will be above, be in the air on the telephone poles. Matter of fact, I don't know if it's getting crowded up there, but what they just did on my street when it was 5 degrees outside, my kid called me and told me we have no power in the house, so I went home and there's 2 Orange and Rockland trucks. So apparently, the regulations of wiring distances and so forth, the power line needs to be 40 inches from the fiber or data, or low voltage, whatever you wanna call it. So they had to raise the power line. So in raising it, they said, a good time to replace it at 5 degrees outside. But they replaced the power line, and everybody was up on my street within an hour, and they're bouncing around doing that. And today, the low voltage guys, cable companies and so forth are out there, and they're now readjusting their stuff to the limits and heights that it needs to be, making space, I guess, for green light. So, we'll see. But
Did you all
they,
get postcards? I've gotten 3 so far.
yeah,
I haven't gotten any.
Really?
about doing the work,
No, about advertising,
advertising,
that they're in the village and
yeah,
Because I got a postcard that said it in the area.
yeah. So, they're doing that. I think their goal was to be done by the end of this year at some point. So more to come on that as things are happening. One of the follow-up items regarding the conversations regarding the retention ponds and so forth. We did discuss doing the maintenance around the shoreline. That is definitely gonna happen, as well as the ramps and so forth for the weed whacker that we will be borrowing from the village of Monroe to take care of any weeds or anything, any debris or whatever's in there. So that'll be happening in the springtime. As far as the dredging and so forth, spoke to, did find some maps, but did not find depths as far as feet are concerned. It was topo numbers. So I have to,
Topographical will tell you the depth. Topographical will tell you the depth.
well, It said 296, but it wasn't at the bottom of the pond. There wasn't a line where, if you're dredging, right, as it gets steeper, the lines get closer and closer. There was one line, like I'd say running about halfway, what you would think would be the height of it. It said 296. The shoreline says it's 305 during a certain condition, and 307, something in that neighborhood. That
For the elevations.
for the elevation. So in checking with DEC, normally they said, are you having any problems? I said, realistically, the ponds are not overflowing, they're not being, they're flowing, the outlets are working. We're just curious of the depth and, what it might have been when the development was built, and if there's any siltation that we have to plan for. Because to do that type of work, number one, again, we had a permit, and the price can be anywhere that I was looking at different states, but, it's 35,000 and up to do any type of dredging, and then you've gotta dry the dirt and figure out what you're gonna do with that at the end of the day, so depending on what we find. So my plan is to, board will end up having a surveyor come out in the springtime, do some shoots and see what we got. And then when we go out with the fountains again, we'll physically do a measurement on both ponds in the middle and try to come up with, and like I said, in maybe 23, when we were doing the fountain things, it was, between 5.5 and 6 feet, between 5 and 6 feet. So, and the guy had said from DEC, he said, well, that's a good depth. He said, that's what they're normally built at, but it depends on your flows and everything that was, part of the hydrology piece. So right now, we've got some information, we just need to execute the next step and see what we can find.
When you're doing the shoreline, are you gonna fix the other side of the outflow?
The other side of the outflow, on the big pond?
On the big pond, they fixed, I'm gonna call it the west side. I sent you pictures where it was draining around the cement.
Yeah, that's what we
The-
fixed, right?
The only one side. So the reason that cement is at a V is as the water gets higher, it lets a little more out at a time.
Right.
There's no dirt on the east side. It's all washed out. It was washed out then, but they only fixed one side of it.
Well,
You said it was a
I'll have
right.
the engineer look at it, but when we looked at it, the left side, I'm looking at it, walking off of Belvoir,
Mhm.
the left side, the closest to me,
You
was
fixed.
the area that we fixed.
That was washed out more than the other
Right,
side.
the other side, the water was draining without going around that concrete. So at that point, even the engineer said, it's working properly, so.
Does he know why the V's in that cement? Does he know why it was done that way?
I
The
never
water's supposed to
asked
go
him.
through the cement flume, not around it.
don't know, I didn't ask him specifically that
You
question.
should ask him, because it's supposed to be tight to cement, it's supposed to come out through the cement, not through the dirt, which is gonna
Well,
wash
right,
out
no,
more
it
the
shouldn't,
embankment.
no, the V, that channel is built to take the water, not to have it run around it.
Well, it still runs around it when the water gets high.
Okay. Well,
If it's
we'll
not
go
going around
out
it,
there
it's already fixed.
probably in a week or two or less, and as it's melting, and we'll see what it's doing, because the snow melt is helping the groundwater, and we'll see what's going on.
All right.
Yep, we'll check it out. So that's where we are with that piece. Yesterday, we had the filming at the police station for a wintertime movie that'll be probably coming out in 26, 27, Clashing Through the Snow. And the filming company was up in Newburgh for a little bit. Then they came to us, and then I understand they were going to a couple of airports to do some more filming. So it went really well. We made a little bit of money, and everything went really well. So they were happy. It was kind of thrilling to watch them and meet some of the people and watch how that whole thing happens between setup and takedown. It's amazing how fast those guys work.
And that title may change.
Well, and you're disappointed it's not a Hallmark movie?
And I'm sorry, it's not a Hallmark, it's an MGM, Amazon. Amazon. So whatever channel that might be on, sorry to disappoint.
Prime.
I don't know, we'll see. So, but it was good. Okay. It was also reported at the last meeting that there's a couple of the storm drain lids, I'll call them, where some were off, and that was due to the plowing and actually probably secondary cleaning up the snow, trying to get to the curb lines and so forth. We had ordered a bunch, I think that in all there were about 7, and they're in the process of replacing all of those. They needed some additional bolts to finish some of the repair work, but that's all in progress. We went over the pond dredging status. Last Thursday, all the taxes for the village were in the mail, and people have obviously been receiving them. Our office has been very busy receiving the taxes and so forth. Everything is running very smoothly on that end. Retention of the ponds, kind of a repeat, we've covered that. Showing that historic sign we reinstalled, we finished it over at,
Thank you.
over by Companion, so that's all complete and ready to go.
It's up,
It's up,
it's up.
looking good. So, next is, we received a permit grant that the chief of police had applied for, $3,500 for safety training on the driver training type stuff. So the chief is gonna be looking, figuring out where we can take these classes and so forth, and how we can best utilize the $3,500. And if we can get all the officers in there and get that done, and if there's any money left over, we'll be extending it to the DPW and other employees. So that'll be something, and maybe at the end of the day, Michelle, we could talk to Renee at Marshall and Sterling and see if we can maybe get 10% off of something on our auto bill. Would be good. Next is Kazaz's and the discussion on the zoning. I'll turn that over to Don.
Okay, so as we discussed at the last meeting, there was an application from Mr. Kazaza to the both the village board and the planning board for a revision to amend, an amended zoning application. The planning board met 2 times. We did receive a written, we can't say determination, it's a recommendation because they're not making the decision, but we requested a recommendation from them. I did receive it within the 60 days. We invited Mr. Kazaza and his attorney. We had a couple questions regarding a couple statements that were made during the meeting, and requested or asked if you wanted to come tonight to help us better understand what the questions were. It's up to you. Do you wanna have that dialogue now? Do you want me to read the recommendation from the planning
However
board?
you would like to proceed. If you want to read the recommendations first, if you want to have our input first, it's up to you. I've not seen the recommendations, so I have no idea what.
Oh, I can read it, and then we can discuss.
Okay.
Know that we received the recommendation. The planning/ZBA board held 2 meetings recently during which the board conducted a review of the subject property's current AB zone, as well as the requested zone of the R10 and rollback or adjustment to the scenic overlay. It is the planning/ZBA board's recommendation to the village board that the current zone of AB and scenic overlay should be maintained and that the comprehensive plan be respected. Planning/ZBA points, the current zone AB provides for several types of businesses and uses of the property. 1. Number 2, the scenic overlay was thoughtfully developed and incorporated into the comprehensive plan. It is the opinion of the planning/ZBA board that this be retained on the property as it is an important element of the gateway to the village. 3, the requested change to R10 does not align with the comprehensive plan. Residential use of the entire buildable area would fundamentally change the vision and the intent of the village's comprehensive plan. In addition to concerns about residential use, We have a concern that more density would be sought as mentioned, was made of having 8,000 square foot lots, which is 2,000 square feet less than the minimum lot size of an R10. An R10 is 10,000 square feet. And last, maximum building height of 10 feet is a concern of the owner. It is the opinion of the planning/ZBA board that the building height limit to 10 feet aligns with the intention of the comprehensive plan. And that concludes the recommendation.
Could we approach the,
Sure.
for the record, my name is John Capello, J&G Law, have been working with the board. First of all, I would state the recommendation, your local law, if you look at your local laws file, has no uses for the AV. There's not even a zoning table in the file local law for the AV zoning district. Now, our application was for alternatives, was looking for a planned development area. You had asked in the email where in the comprehensive plan does it state that. I would point to a few areas. One, this specific property is mentioned on page 3 of the comprehensive plan, where it talks about it being the last properties available for development, and that consideration of the uses is very important as the village expects to evolve. It was designated as a gateway. Now, if you go to 23, page 23 of your comprehensive plan, it once again mentions the gateway. It says, since this area is primarily in single ownership, there is an opportunity to create a planned development for it, which was our request. It goes on to say, the business park the village envisions would be comparable to the Eastgate and Westgate business parks in Goshen. I'm fairly familiar with those, and neither of those are 10 feet in height. Buildings are 2 stories and host a variety of buildings. Then it talks about active adult community or veterans housing. The AV does not permit that. And then it goes on in the next page, and this is what's important. The intent of the gateway, which includes this project, to be constructed as a multi-use extension of the village at the same village scale. If you look around your village, while you had 10,000 square feet lots, the majority of lots for single-family residential in your village are about 8,000 square feet. Then it says there are new planned communities such as Serenbe in Georgia that intertwine business, housing, and agriculture together. Now, I never heard of that development until I saw it in your comprehensive plan that you adopted. It says, then it goes, the gateway area is not intended to be a monolithic or single use, but a combination of uses with infrastructure connections to one another, whether it is lighting, sidewalks, trails, and other amenities. I went to the website and I pulled Serenbe. These are the townhouses in Serenbe. This is what the opportunities are. Home. Make Serenbe your home or home away from home. Each of our move-in ready properties is unique and contributes to the gorgeous, cohesive look of each neighborhood. Neighborhood includes housing. Rent. We offer short-term and long-term leases ranging from 1-bedroom lofts and townhouses to larger homes. A mix of uses, a planned development, which is what we had requested that the board review in your comprehensive plan and implement what you adopted in your comprehensive plan. Walkability. It's faster to walk than drive at Serenbe. Homes and hamlets are connected by sidewalks and trails, and everything you need is here. Once again, it's a contained, planned development with walkability. In this instance, on this gateway parcel, you would be able to walk into the village and experience village businesses. Now, I know this is the sense that you wanted, and you wanted it for active adult and veterans. I mean, I think teachers and nurses and school teachers, your essential workers would also be provided, but let's look at the prices for Serenity. There's a 3,000 square foot townhouse for $1,249,000. A 3,291 square foot cottage for $1,600,000. You can get a one bedroom condo for $489,000. So, once again, it's residential. There is nothing in your code that provides anything like this. We would hope that the cost, if this is what you were considering, I don't think an active adult or a veteran, unless they're a commandant at West Point, would likely, be able to afford. Now, I'm not saying this to scold the board, but we have been talking to the board and trying to come up with accommodation. We listened to what you said at comprehensive plan developments. We provided you information. We sat down with your planner and with the committee to provide, they asked provide options for planned unit developments. We provided options. We said 8,000 square feet. Nothing is set in stone, but what we would like to do is sit down and have a dialogue and have some consideration for you to what you appear to have is some reasonable residential opportunities, hopefully not only for seniors or veterans, but also for young families, which is a necessity. You cannot look in the paper, look at any housing study, and know that there's not a housing crisis here. We're not looking to over-densify this, but I don't know what I need to get through. I don't think your comprehensive plan has a lot of words and a lot of concepts, but the way you implement it is 10 feet, you're not gonna get housing, you're not gonna get business, you're not gonna get anything. What 10-foot development have you seen? If that's what you envision for this parcel, then you have in fact taken this parcel. I don't know how to say it any other way, but you have in effect by your zoning taken all the value of this property. There is no value in the development of 10-foot buildings. I don't know where you see it. It's not legally occupiable. It's not occupiable for a business. It's not occupied for residents. I don't know what the thought process is. Would love to sit down, would love to conclude, that dialogue, but, I don't, I'm trying to work with you, but I don't sense that there's anyone who wants to listen. I mean, why mention this if it's not anything remotely close to that is permitted in your zoning code? What does that mean? Words are supposed to have meanings in a document.
Well, there was some clarity. Some of what was just said was not the entire paragraph was right. It was taken out of context. So, they used that as an example, not as that's in stone. It was an example of possibly the aesthetic of that development. I don't know. I wasn't at that meeting. This was a cumulative
You adopted
work.
this plan that stated it.
Right,
That
but
this
it
is
gave,
the type
gave the
of mixed
language
use.
in the comp
But there's no
plan.
mixed use permitted.
There is mixed use.
Look at the AD zone. First of all, find the table because it's not in your law. And
The
then
ta-
look
the
at,
table is,
yes, look in the filed law on the Secretary of State, look online, and you will not
well,
find
if
a
there was an
table
issue
for
with
the
the
AD.
filing, we don't know, but it is in there. We provided that to you, the planning board had it when you met. They had it in front of them, that was part of their packet, so they could understand and be able to have that dialogue with all the permitted uses, what is permitted there. There were a lot more
At-
uses permitted
at
with
10.
this zoning.
At 10 feet high,
That is just partial, that's for the scenic overlay only.
over the majority of the development of the parcel
It's
that
not
you
the
call your
majority.
gateway. The majority of developable area as we, provided to you there. Once again, I'm not here to argue. You asked me to present you where the basis was for our argument. I provided where the basis is several times in your comprehensive plan. We provided you information. If you don't agree with that information, there's nothing I can do, but you asked me to provide it. I provided it where I believe it's pretty clear that the types of developments you were envisioning would not be permitted or developable on this parcel or anywhere in the village. So you asked me, I gave you the answer. I'm sorry you don't, like my answer, and I say,
No,
I'm.
it's not about whether we like it or not, we're having the conversation, but,
That was it.
if you want me to read that paragraph, it's more clear about what the intent was in that whole paragraph.
We'll read the whole paragraph because.
Much of the lands within the gateway area consist of floodplains and New York State DEC wetlands. Thus, development will likely occur in the uplands on the westerly side of the property. To achieve multiple objectives, the village envisions that a variety of uses could occur on the property given its scale. The uses which the village seeks to encourage include the continuation of agricultural uses, small-scale business park, non-warehouse, active adult housing, veteran housing, and other limited commercial uses. This is primarily a single ownership, so there is the opportunity for to create a planned development, it didn't say a planned unit development. The business park, and they gave the examples, there's one in Goshen as well. Buildings are 2 stories with a variety of businesses. In the active adult community or veterans housing would also be a low-scale development with patio homes attached, of 4-plex dwellings or similar smaller footprint buildings. The patio homes, we had this discussion recently, could be for the seniors. We could discuss the potential of raising the 10 feet to possibly 15 feet to accommodate, but most of the patio homes range between 8 feet and 12 or 15 feet, an average patio home.
I would respectfully say that those words sound great, they sound thought, but this property, and that's what we've attempted to show you, none of that could potentially be developed given what your code says, given the limitations, given the markets out there for, there is no profitability, which is why, frankly, the appraiser you hired issued appraisal saying there's no uses that would not require a variance and giving a very low ball appraisal. So, I don't know if Jim wants to add anything. We're here. I'm willing to talk to, but I don't think a pure senior project, there has not been an active adult community in this area since Warwick Grove. The one in Montgomery has sat now and hasn't been developed for 25 years. That ship has sailed here. The prices that you would have for an active adult community, most of the senior developments you see here are apartments and subsidized low-income housing tax credit developments, which are great. Nothing against them, but active adult community is not an active market in this area, and your comprehensive plan did not seem to consider the marketability or developability. It just talked about things that people would like to see, and it would be great. Veterans deserve housing, seniors deserve housing, and it would be a great community, but at the densities you provided, at the scale you provided, it is not a doable or viable option. Want to have a meeting, if you wanted us to bring brokers and demonstrate that, we have to. Here, and I appreciate Jim, I don't know if you wanted to.
No, the only issue I had was there seemed to be some confusion as I read the emails and went back and forth as to where in the master plan there was a reference to a planned development. And I think it's clear from what John said and from what you read, Donna, that right on page 23 it talks about a planned development and it goes further and gives examples citing the Goshen, Eastgate, and Westgate. So that's where we had the idea of a planned development, except that doesn't show up in the zoning code that you adopted. So the master plan talks about a planned development for the parcel, but the zoning does not.
Well, the zoning does allow for just the narrative that I read and what the intention was when that was stated, which was the veteran housing and the senior housing.
But that's not what a plan development describes.
It's a mixed
Plan
use.
development, you would adopt the actual language. We submitted several examples, and in fact, several of them were examples that Bonnie had developed for other communities. But you would develop a specific plan specifically as to what you want, whether that's some commercial, some housing that would be suitable and affordable for veterans or seniors, et cetera. You would develop that plan. You don't just take it off the shelf. You develop it specifically for the site. But there's no place in the zoning that does that. And we offered to meet with your planner to go over some different examples that she had developed and that we would provide. Never gets
And
done.
we have. I've met with you several times. Bonnie was included in at least 2 or 3 of those meetings.
Where's the result? Where's the plan, where's the language for the plan development that's in the zoning code? It doesn't exist.
You requested a PUD, a PUD.
Which is a
In the
plan
amended
development, yes.
zoning and/or an R10. This
In our
mentions-
zoning in our request to the planning board, because there's no plan development that we could say, please take our parcel and put it in the plan development, we picked the N10 or the H10, whatever the identification is, but we also said our purpose is to sit down with the village and develop a plan that's acceptable to the village and to the property owners as to what we could develop. And that hasn't happened. I'm sorry.
Because every time we met, we were getting the same plan.
No, you have to
When we sat at the
understand,
table-
we submitted to you a draft proposal, had no intention to develop, it was just a concept idea of what a plan development would be. Not necessarily suitable to that parcel. What we wanted to do was develop some generic language that would outline what the plan development would encompass, what would be allowed, what would not be allowed, and to adopt that into the zoning ordinance. We don't want a specific site plan, we have no site plan. We've never submitted a site plan.
It's a concept plan that we've seen several times,
But that's not a
but the
site
issue
plan.
is-
It wasn't submitted as a site plan saying, we want to develop our parcel according to this site plan. It was just a concept to give the village an idea of the kind of things that could be done. That should have been a first step. We should have then sat down with Bonnie. She should have went to her libraries and got different examples of what would be allowed in a plan development, and then you, as the board, would adopt that language for the zoning. That's where it ends. No development would occur until we get someone who's interested in the property.
Each time we sat down, there was not one thing in that concept plan that reflected anything that's in this comprehensive plan, nothing. All that was in there were apartments and condos.
That's one example of a type of plan development. We didn't ask that the village adopt that concept. What we asked that happen is that the village develop what they would like to see in a plan development and what uses they would like to see.
And we
We
gave
have
them,
not been able to,
but we've given them.
All right,
Okay, I
mean,
think
we-
we've
I would
exhausted
just
all.
ask if the village, if tomorrow morning I could be provided a copy of the planning board's recommendation and also a copy of your official zoning code. I would suggest you look at it because I don't think what's there is there. And I would like to schedule a meeting, because what I would like you to do, and I would respectfully request, is that your planner look at what the zoning is for that area. We will have someone look and lay out to show you that under the zoning as it exists, there is not a viable project for this project. Not a viable, it will remain vacant and shallow until a future board or someone who wants to develop it in a more dense manner, it'll just be there instead of developed in a manner that everyone could be proud of, which we would look at. But with that, I thank you for your time.
I'm sorry, John, did you request a meeting with
If-
Lonnie Franson?
If you're willing to do
Yep.
that, so we, but I'd like to have that information first and then sit down and
The
read
zoning and the
and
recommendation.
the recommendation from the planning board. Thank you.
Sean Hager, I just have a question on the historic viewway. Does that have, is that the same legal thing as a historic walkway or a historic driveway where somebody wants to drive through your land because it said they've been doing it for a long time? The walkway's been upheld in this town. They didn't let the person put a fence on their land because children were walking through there.
You're talking about the scenic overlay?
The scenic overlay, yes. Is that the
That's-
same?
That's the view shed.
No, I understand what that is. Legally, is that the same as the historic right-of-way for walking or driving? There was a person who wants to put a fence up, they didn't allow him, the village did not allow him, because children cut through his yard to go to school. He was denied the thing. The gentleman that just left has a right-of-way for the trucks to go through, that he said was used for the milk trucks, that go through his wife's old doctor's office into the solar farm. Trucks used to back up past the old farmhouse. I used to get caught in the morning while they were backing up. They weren't backing up any other way. But that's a historic driveway, and they're still using it because he claimed it's historic. So if there's a historic driveway, a historic walkway over here that the village upheld, what's the matter with a historic viewway?
There's nothing wrong with it.
Well, that's what I mean, is that the same legal, just as strong as the other
Well,
ones?
I don't think we can compare it to the other examples that you gave, but this is to preserve the actual view,
Yeah,
the scenic view of that gateway into the village.
and it's a historic
And
viewway,
it's
and it is
not the
beautiful.
entire parcel that we're talking about, you know, it's just of the front part of that parcel,
Right.
you know,
Right.
so the lower parts of the parcel could have the two-story.
So that,
Um,
yeah, so the view's not lost at the end of the day.
Right, and they can grade that land before where the viewway is and to make
No,
it
they'll-
lower.
obviously, yeah.
Whatever you wanna do, they can
Rated and
move the earth.
depending on what it is, but we'll take his information and we'll, respond to him and then we'll take it to the next step.
Thank you.
Yes, George.
George?
What exactly do they wanna put?
Well, that's a good question, because I will say, and Jim also, they were a little confused, because the first planning board meeting, and I sat off to the side, the feedback that I got afterwards, but they still did not really understand what exactly the intention was. And you did state, and I know you do not plan on developing that parcel, you're trying to sell the parcel.
Yeah.
So the board did not get a vision other than the concept plan, right, that Mr. Capello referenced, but the board didn't have it at the time of the meeting. I showed it to him on my computer, he acknowledged, yes, that's what we were referring to. He asked if I had sent it to the planning board, and I absolutely did not, because that wasn't my place. I felt if you wanted it, if you wanted the board to have it, you would have sent it. He then, you know, I said, if you want me to, I will, it was on the record, he said,
Well, the problem with that is we don't have a plan for a planned development. That's something that has to be developed between your planner and your board. We shouldn't be submitting that. And we can pick a planned development language from some other municipality zoning, but that doesn't necessarily work with what we have in the village. What we asked the zoning board to do, and I was there, and this is what I asked for, is we want to have the village develop a specific planned development concept that specifically fits our parcel and blends with the rest of the village. The problem was the zoning board got hung up on a map that got submitted to them, I think from the village, I didn't submit it, which was one of the aids that we used when we met with you way back in April, when we were talking about other possible concepts that could be done. That wasn't a site plan to be reviewed, but they kept referring to that, and they kept counting up the units on it. And I kept trying to tell them, that's not a plan. What we want to do is have the village develop a concept for a planned development. That's simply what we're asking for.
What I'm inferring from this is you can't sell this land unless the person who's gonna buy it knows that he's gonna develop X, Y, and Z? Is that what the bottom line is here?
Every buyer who has come along, and once they found out there was a moratorium that went on for 2.5 years, they would say, well, what can I do on the land? And we would say, there's a moratorium, we don't know what you can do.
But there's
So-
not now.
Now,
And now
we
it's
have a
clear what can be
plan
built.
which limits significantly how much of the land can be developed. And we think that in concept, to stay in agreement with what the master plan says, there should be a planned development concept. I didn't put that in the language, Bonnie did, and you adopted it. You adopted the language that said this parcel lends itself to a planned development because it's entirely under one ownership.
An opportunity for, we clearly state, and I know Mr. Capello said it's not in our zoning, we will,
It's in there.
It's there.
it's there.
No, it isn't. There's no planned development in your zoning.
Not a planned development, the uses are very,
The
very
uses are
clear,
in there.
The,
and they're,
in the written copy that I have, there are uses spelled out. In the official copy that's filed with the Department of State, according to John, there are no uses spelled out. I haven't looked at that official copy, but that's something you might want to check. That maybe when they adopted it up there, when you sent it up there for them to, put on the official record and put into the email accessible things, they didn't put that page in. It's in the written copy.
There actually was an issue at one point, and I'm wondering if this was part of it.
The second copy was sent up with
Pages
all the
were missing.
documents. They were paid.
So they were two-sided pages, and
And
apparently.
they didn't copy the
some
one
of the-
side, that could be.
Yeah.
But I
But-
think
but
John
we
was
said
correct in
that-
saying that if a potential buyer were to go and pull that out of the state code and say, what can I do on that property? They're gonna see the property zoned AB and no use table for AB.
Yeah.
If that's been corrected, fine, it should have
Yeah.
been.
It had
If you
been
go to the
correct.
comp plan on the website,
It's right on the
homepage,
website.
it's right there.
If
Just
you
go to
pull
the
up the
It's
bottom.
in the I didn't deny it.
No,
from-
No, I'm
It's
just
in the
saying,
zoning.
it's there.
John
It's on.
said it wasn't on the
Filed
official
with the official.
electronic, and that's the one that controls.
Right.
Okay.
So I made a note, we'll check into that first thing tomorrow morning and see what the heck is going on. If it's wrong, we'll get it fixed. But we did send up a follow-up correct copy on that.
I've had that happen. I put a deed on two sides
Yeah.
once, and they only photocopied the one side. I had to go and have them corrected.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll look into that. But thank you, appreciate your time, Jim.
Any other questions?
Anything on that? Alrighty then, we'll, move along to, number 11. This is, just an update, on the water main break we had the night of the, snowstorm. And it was at 94 and opposite Walcole Drive. It was an 8-inch main. Myself and the waterworks, Justin, were out there from whatever, 12 o'clock to about 7 o'clock in the morning. And we kind of worked with Pam. We were kind of managing the process while the entire DPW crew was out doing their snow plowing. So everything went smooth. Shut the valves off, everything was down. We brought the guys got here, took them a little bit of time to assemble, get all their trucks together. By the time they got here, we had minimized the amount of water that was flowing. Again, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, so, we just monitored everything that was going on. Tam got there, they started to evaluate, they took the action, they started doing everything that they would normally do. For a period of time, I went down to the village hall. I sat here waiting for anybody to call. If they had any low pressure and things like that, I had the phones forwarded to my cell. I went back to the site, and we spent the rest of the morning just going through the water main break and getting it patched, and then getting it turned back on. We did hear from Channel 12, only because it was an announcement on 911 about the accident, or not the accident, about the road closure. So they gave us a call. We just gave them a quick update and everything was fine with that. Yeah, everything again went smooth. We had the water back on. There was one comment on Facebook, talking about transparency and all this crazy stuff at the end of the day, and we do try to be very transparent, but at 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't think anybody really needed a text message or a phone call to say, oh, by the way, the water shut off or we have an issue. So if there was anybody, they would have called me, and by the time everybody woke up, there was a little bit of air in the lines, we took care of those phone calls and everything was fine. So, if it was worse, then obviously people would have been notified and announcements would have been made earlier in the morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, when people are waking up and starting their days. And again, this past Wednesday, we did talk about the gas main break, so I think we covered that pretty well. Mobile DMV was here today, super busy, lines, and they love coming here, so a lot of people went through a lot of, registrations and everything else that they would normally do, so, and it seems like they're starting to come the first Monday of every month. On most cases, they moved to this week because of the bad weather that was predicted on Monday, so they moved it to Wednesday of, this particular March. But I would imagine, again, first Monday in April, and we'll get notified of that in a couple of weeks to stay on track. Village board meeting, that is normally scheduled on Monday, March 16th, will be moved to Monday, March 23rd. Same location, same time, 7 o'clock, and the reason for the move is village elections are on Wednesday, 3/18, from 12 noon to 9 p.m. Only in this building, it's not anywhere else, it's a local election. So we'll be set and prepared for that. Thank you, Michelle, for getting a lot of this stuff done, appreciate that. Just a note on policies and procedure, as I think we guys know, we've mentioned about the handbook. We got through that, and that's been published and approved, etc. And now we're taking a big, hard look at policies and procedures and starting to document these things so that there's believe it or not, a standard procedure. So anybody who needs to know how to handle the debit card of the village, or how to handle requisition, they'll know how to do it by just following the procedures. So it's gonna be a very long process because there really isn't a lot of documentation as far as that is concerned, but it's in motion and starting to take shape, so we're working on all of that. And a side note, we are continuing to work on the archiving, which is a huge task, and again, Michelle has taken that task on and has a couple of folks basically working on all of that. We're taking everything out of the stationery room that has been there for 500,000 years, and a lot of the stuff is being scanned. A lot of it will be put in storage and then brought down to our secure storage area from the company, I can't remember their name, was JRM or something?
GRM.
Yeah. So that process is working out fine. We've already sent them about almost 30 boxes. So things are looking, good, and all of this information will be protected, so it's good. And on the side note, we're doing the same thing with the building, inspecting files and maps and everything else. Next week, we're gonna go drawer by drawer, redo the documentation, update the files, do some color coding. There are tons of maps that have just been rolled up for years and years, and we're just going to attack it and get that area straightened out. A lot of financial information that also needs to be taken out for the archiving. So it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and it's a slow process, but it's happening. So that's the best news we can share with you at the moment. And that kind of brings us into trustees' reports. Donna, on the building department, if you have any updates there?
This covers the period between February 16th and February 28th. There were 4 building permits issued, 11 COs and CCs, 1 violation, 1 municipal search completed, and 2 fire safety inspections paid. That brings us to totals of fire and safety inspections fees $250, municipal searches $175, permit fees $525, for a total of $950. Just want to give an update on a discussion from last meeting regarding a sign that went up where the former TD Bank was. It's currently Washingtonville Dental bought it, they're relocating from Goshen Avenue, from South Street to where TD at Bank was. They did not put that sign up. I know it went back and forth a little bit, we said we would look into it, we did look into it. That was the old TD sign. Why it looks different? Because it doesn't say TD Bank anymore. It's just blank and white. The current owner did not even discuss whether he plans on keeping it. One of the dialogues was, he liked his sign from the location that he's at now, and may use that sign, so, which means this would come down. So that's still yet to be seen. We didn't get any sign application, and that old TD Bank did have a permit and was approved at the time. What else? The signage letters that went out, the time was up, we gave them 30 days to comply, so the building department will start issuing some violations. Some actually did take down the non-compliant lighting. So we'll see what happens with that. We have a new business coming in, Penya's Juice Bar. It's pending a final inspection, and we're still not clear if they're doing any cooking on site. So if so, that would require the Department of Health, the DOH certificate. We reached out to them and haven't heard back yet. That's it for me.
Cool.
Any questions?
Thank you very much. Appreciate any questions for buildings?
What is a cheese bar?
I'm sorry?
What is a cheese bar?
Juice bar.
Juice bar.
Oh, juice bar.
Juice
Juice
bar.
bar.
And crudités and stuff like that.
Cheese would be good too.
I'm ready to go for it.
Cheese
Piece
bar.
of cheese. Oh, Lord. Okay, next moving in, would be police department. Steve, you have any updates for you?
I had two updates, but unfortunately you already read them,
You're
so
welcome.
just made my life easy tonight. There isn't really not much else to talk about. Just the grant we received for the safety for driving, and also the filming that we did at the police station. And that was it.
Cool. Sorry, I'll leave that up next time. Vernon had a family emergency. He's not here this evening. So we'll do a grant update at the next meeting. And anything water sewer system?
So far to date, we have 465 of the new Badger meters installed. Out of those, we have only 164 residents had downloaded the Eye on Water app for their phone, which is kind of a shame. Last week, we had a pipe burst in somebody's house, and we had to do an emergency shut-off. Had they downloaded that app, they would have gotten a text alert that there was water running in their house. So really encourage people to download that. Of those 465 meters in the past 7 days, 861,346 gallons of water was used. So that's how closely we can track the water. There was a billing that went out on February 5th. Friday is the last day to pay that bill without incurring a late fee. The revenue collected so far in water is $72,618.60. In sewer, it's $96,562.34. Facility fee is $85,195.33. Of course, we are still bringing in money. The payment has not closed out yet, and typically the last 2 days we get more payments than we do sometimes in a week. So stay tuned on that. We are reviewing currently to see if there is a way financially that for our seniors that have exemptions, if there's a way we can only charge them for the water that they use as opposed to the 7,000 gallon minimum. We finally got the report from the assessor's office. The total for all the exemptions, the regular, the star, the enhanced stars, there are 197 parcels Now, not all of those are on our water system, so we have to look at all those numbers to see how we can create this, yet still receive the financial goals needed to keep the water and sewer funded.
And there'll be a number, if we get to the point we want to get to, there'll obviously be some criteria for the people to prove that they're residents, their age, you know, certain criteria, so we know it's not a renter or other scenarios that might be out there. So, you know, we're again looking at some of these reports, and some of the usage actually surprised me, because some of their usages for some of the seniors were actually 3,000 gallons, 4,000 gallons, somewhere in that mix, which was exactly what we're looking for. But then we're running into numbers of
10,000.
10,000, 12,000, and I'm going, this is a senior citizen with 2 people potentially in the house. I'm like, wow. So, you know, we're gonna do some more investigating, more digging, and trying to figure out, you know, stop filling up the pool, or I don't know what they're doing, but we'll have to give them a call and take a look at the meters, et cetera. So it's something we wanna,
Maybe a lot of flowers.
I'm sorry?
A lot of flowers.
Yeah, wrong time of year for that, but yeah, you never know. So,
It's gonna be a process,
Yeah.
like I said, you know, the easiest way we're taking it right now is from the assessors, because they get the numbers from the state based on tax returns. And it's definitely gonna be income-based, you know.
so, that's good, so we'll stay on top of that, and, we have a number of residents that kind of made some inquiries about it. We talked about this last year, but, or maybe even the year before, but we were uneasy about making any changes when we were just trying to get our footing, where it needed to be, so we could pay for the expenses that are going through, so there we are.
Off on here, but do we wanna, update the audience that we have our own barricades now?
Oh, for the, yeah, just a side note, we, you know, for a lot of the parades and things that we are in process of, and the Easter and all the celebration things that we do, we're always borrowing South Blooming Grove, or actually KJ's, basically fencing and railings and things along those lines. The chief recently found a very good deal that we're purchasing our own to supplement ourselves, and if we ever needed anything else further from KJ, then, you know, it becomes a borrowing situation that we've been doing all along. So, yeah, we're pretty happy about that. We have storage containers that we're gonna put this stuff in. It's galvanized, it's metal, it's, you know, similar to what you've seen at the holiday parades and the Christmas parades, et cetera. So, you know, we'll have stuff that we can get at a moment's need, and, you know, and also lean on KJ when it's necessary, because they've been very good in giving us and lending us their emergency management materials when we need it, so it's good. Thank you. Now we'll move into resolutions. First resolution is 260033. This is to approve the policy procedure for credit cards. Have a motion, please?
Motion.
Have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Donna. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
We got a credit card.
A debit
No,
card.
we got a
It's
debit card.
okay, a debit card.
Yeah, debit card. So, it's gonna make life a little bit easier, because a lot of this, especially software and things like that, when you're, buying an application or buying some software or buying an upgrade, it's credit cards now. They don't take checks, they don't do this. So it's been, this is gonna be a big help, because otherwise, technically, we've been buying the stuff and then being reimbursed. So, it's a good thing, so. All in favor?
Aye.
Ray did, it was 4-0, one absent. Okay, resolution 260034 to approve the facilities use permit for the Red Cross blood drive at the Village Hall on June 22nd, 2026. from 11:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Have a motion?
Motion.
Steve on the motion, have a second?
Second.
Second is Susan. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, one absent. Resolution 260035, to approve the assembly permit for the Blues Canine Rescue 5K Walk Run on May 31st, 2026, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Vern Allen Park, Ahern Boulevard to Hopkins Circle, and back to Vern Allen Park. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion is Steve, have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Donna. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0 and one absent. Resolution 260036 to approve the facility use permit for the Kiwanis Club of Washingtonville for Flags for Heroes, May 21st, 2026, with a flag, that will be the day the flag is going up, and then July 7th, 2026, the flags will be coming down. They will have a ceremony June 6th, 2026 at 10 to 12:30. Rain date would be on June 7th. Have a
Subject to
motion,
insurance.
please?
Motion.
Yeah.
Insurance.
And pending COI there, certificate of insurance. And I'm sorry, Don, did you make the motion?
Did you or not? I said,
I
I think we
did.
both said.
Okay, Steve, and then Donna would be the second. Okay. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0-1. Shelby, you just make an asterisk on that we reach out to them for their insurance certificate, please? Thank you. Okay, Blues, we got that. Let's see, flip the page. Resolution 260037, authorize the budget transfers and amendments necessary to effect the necessary transfers of funds and to pay the village warrant. Have a motion?
Motion.
Steve on the motion, a second.
Second.
Is Susan. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1. Thank you.
Oh, man.
Resolution 260038, to approve the March 16th Village Board meeting, move date to Monday, March 23rd at 7 p.m. Motion?
Motion.
Susan, second.
Second.
Steve. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1. Resolution 260039, to approve applying for the Orange County Tourism Grant Fund used for the 4th of July event funds, which would be available on July 1st, 2026. Motion?
Motion.
Susan,
Second.
second. Steve? Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1. Thank you. Resolution 260040, to approve the public assembly permit for Rick Rodriguez, Patient and Faith Customs for Hispanic Heritage on June 6, 2026, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the 29 West Main Street parking lot. And may I have a motion,
Subject
please?
to insurance.
Yes, and subject to the COI insurance as well, Michelle.
And also DOH, it's food, you need the,
Yeah, that's all comes, once he gets his vendors, because it's only, we're in March, so he's got 3 months to figure out who he's gonna get. But when he does, we will need that stuff, yes. Yeah, it's the same with everybody, they're all, buying and trying to get trucks now, because if you don't do it now, they're gonna be gone. So, yeah. So can I have the motion, Don? Second, Steve. Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the motion?
Yes.
4-0-1. One absent, thank you. Okay. next up would be public comment on non-agenda items. Paul?
You have an idea how much money we made on the $2 million that we have in the bank there?
How much money we made on the 2 million?
The interest.
Not offhand, no, I can find out.
Yeah, because it wasn't mentioned at the last budget. Should be a substantial amount of money for that. I would
No,
think.
we'll give you a rundown of what interest we made on what was in there, yeah.
On the 2 million, yeah.
Well, 2 million,
Oh, we, 2
the
point
1
something.
point,
It was 2.2 or 2.2, I thought. We
well,
used,
you originally started at 4.4,
yeah,
and then that, we paid that back. And then we went to 4.4, and then that went back. And then we ended up at 1.160, and that's what we're sitting on right now. And that's what we're paying back right now.
okay. But we have that money in the bank that we get interest on.
Well, the money's been dispersed and used within, because some of it had to be used in sewer, because that's where it's coming from.
No.
And the rest of it was in the A fund, which was a smaller amount. But the majority of that money, that's why the $25 fee is, most of that's coming out of, or the majority of it's coming out of, or going into the sewer fund. Because that's the fund that needed to be reimbursed according to New York State auditors.
And the other thing is, I was down in town, Orange County Bagel the other day, having a cup of coffee. I was sitting inside looking out, and we talked about earlier today, the comprehensive plan and the aesthetics. Has anything, is South Street coming into the village complying with the comprehensive plan as written? And specifically, the junkyard, is there any way that can be cleaned up? Because it is in the comprehensive plan and we can't have junkyards. When you sit at Orange
No.
County Bagels and look across the old
Yeah,
parking lot,
I know what you
You can
said.
see the
There's
back
two-
of it.
there's two school buses right there.
Mm-hmm,
A broke down fence.
yeah. Well, you all know the property's up for sale.
I know
Central
that,
Line.
but, and also
Number.
that building that they have, the apartment house, is that still occupied or it looks like it's
To me, it
abandoned?
looks like it's empty,
Yeah.
Which one?
the
These,
White House,
The three family,
or the stone,
The
the
stone.
stone as you go up.
the
It looks
three
empty.
family.
It looks empty.
the stone house is empty.
No, but the one up closest to the road.
The old farmhouse.
It's not old, he built that, it's new, he remodeled it. It's newer,
The
Was-
White House?
No,
the apartment house.
The one that's all stone as you go,
Yeah,
as you go up the
The
hill.
old,
The
the
whole
old
thing's
The
hotel.
hotel, it's
That's
the
vacant.
hotel.
That is vacant.
Yes.
It's for sale, isn't it?
Well, the whole
What?
parcel's.
Well, the whole parcel's for
Yeah, I
sale,
mean, that's
6
the properties on Zillow for
6
like
acres or something.
800,000 or something.
Yeah, it's all for sale.
Now, does the junkyard come with the parcel?
No, that's a separate one.
That's separate?
Yeah. Where you're talking about is if you're heading south on South Street, the walking trail separates the two.
Yes.
So the parcel to the left is a separate parcel from the 3 buildings on the right.
Okay, is the junkyard part of one of the parcels?
Yes.
Yes,
So that's for sale?
correct.
Yes.
So if somebody who's buying this, they're buying that junkyard?
Oh, they're buying property.
They're
They're
gonna buy
buying
the
the
property,
property.
and I don't know if they're gonna
Does he
continue
have-
operating.
Has he paid for have they paid for the junkyard license?
The
The
permit,
annual?
Yeah,
yes.
they're inspected by the state. Yeah,
It's pre-existing non-conforming.
Right, so the new business coming in, or whoever buys it, will be subject to the new zoning codes.
right.
Wow.
And, you know, always had that same kind of thing, you come over the hill and you're going, oh my God, look at all that stuff, right? And then one day I was asking Ralph about that stuff, and he says, you know, Tom, and he goes, what I basically do, he says, is I watch the market. And when the market's up, I sell. And I'm like, holy crap. Brilliant, right? I mean, it's been there for generations, whatever. And his answer was, yeah, I get rid of the stuff, but when the market's high. And I make money on all the metals. And again, what do I say to that? I said, yeah, makes sense to me. But they are inspected, they you know, what do you wanna call it, oils and things like that, that's part of the New York State inspection process. It
Used
is,
to be when you come over the hill, there was a coal yard and a feed store.
I'm sorry?
That used to be a coal yard and a feed store when you come over the hill.
Oh, really?
Because where the vet there is,
Mm-hmm.
okay, there used to be an overhead, so when they unloaded the coal from the Erie Railroad,
Okay,
that went across over the top,
oh, really?
you know?
Huh.
That was Brown's feed store. Coal yard and feed store.
So one day we gotta educate you, and I hate to use the term old timers, but we have to get everybody together and talk about the stories. Because it wouldn't be anything better than have it on video for generations, for people moving in here to know what that building was. I had a conversation one time with, Pete Antone. And I just sat there, I was like a little kid just listening to him talk about what was what and where we
Anton's
went.
house, yeah.
In his building, and, you know, there was an appliance store there, and what, and then you had the gas station, and it was amazing.
Well, you had a Chevy
People
dealership.
don't see it. Sorry?
You had a Chevy dealership right there.
That's what I heard too, yeah.
They had a Chrysler dealership over on,
South
the
Street.
other.
Dave, our historian, Jeannie Verswilov, started a Facebook page on Historic Village. There's a lot of pictures she posts on there, a lot of history, it's all history. I don't think you do Facebook, but if you know anybody that does.
Well, think about your stories, because we're gonna talk to Jeannie, because this is
Yeah,
something
yeah,
we need to do.
yeah, I know Jeannie well.
Trying to get the firehouse to do something like this for years, and it's unfortunate, you lose a lot of good people, and all those stories go with it.
Well,
You know,
when the
what was
feed
what.
store burnt down, the fire company had just gotten a brand new fire truck. And we melted the lights off the fire truck at the fire. And the older France, they drove, just dumped it right into the Moonlit, that's what pumped the water. Because you only had a 4-inch main going up South Street.
Wow. And that LaFrance is still in our garage, and they're looking for a part, so we can be ready for the, I don't know what part it is, I heard them talking last night at our fire department meeting. But,
Probably Magneto.
they wanna get it, you know, if they can get the part, get it up and running for the Memorial Day parade. And definitely the anniversary, Firemen's Association parade that'll happen in September, last Saturday in the month, that Monell is sponsoring, because Tommy Lynn is the president of the association. So it's a real big deal. It'll be a real big parade. It'll be a lot of fun, a lot of people, a lot of good stuff going on this year, so be neat,
Yeah, we had a hand pumper and a
yeah.
hose wagon too. They still got that. or not?
They do, yeah. The two big wheels, and they pull it,
Yeah, they pumped it.
yeah. It's still in the garage.
And there's one at the Orange County.
Preserved. I'm sorry?
One's at the Orange County Volunteer Firemen's.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Museum, one of ours.
That went up to Hudson, New York, is that where it went?
Uh,
Or down here?
in Montgomery.
Oh, Montgomery? Okay.
And on the subject of historical, you probably noticed the room looks different. We're repainting it, and that wall over there is gonna be designated with all historical photos. We found treasures up there. So we wanna get them framed and just make a nice wall, a historical wall there.
Yeah.
Oh, hey Tom, one more thing.
Sure.
When you're doing all that, you ought to see about getting that quilt covered.
The quilt,
Oh, yeah, I meant, yeah.
Should go in a case.
I
yeah.
gotta talk to somebody who knows about quilts and what it needs to be closed with.
Well, you need a special acid paper, or acid
I
cover.
have no idea,
But
but
it's gotta have an
I
E
would
on
imagine
it.
light affects it, so it might be
Or in
a certain
glass.
type of glass or
Yeah.
Plexiglass.
something.
No, plexiglass puts off, it's plastic, it puts off an acid.
I don't know.
Puts off, yeah, that's supposed off and acid.
Yeah, yep, and actually, you know, it's nice out there, but maybe it'd be nice in here. I don't know.
We talked about that too.
But we have a ton of pictures and a lot of EJ stuff and people, I don't even know who they are. You know, the names
Family.
don't really make any sense to me, so, you know, maybe for somebody like you, got a lot of history,
I think there's only 3 ladies left alive that
Yeah.
would make that quilt.
and we did get a lot of stuff from next door.
Hanging on the
She
wall.
brought a lot of stuff over,
I know your
Monica.
wife is a big part of that.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, we talked about that,
good stuff.
yeah.
We're going to
Took me
executive
3 years to find it.
part-timer, or no?
All right,
What
any,
the quilt was in
any other comments? Otherwise, we, need to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters. Okay, going once, twice, 3 times. All right, can I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Can I have a second, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 401. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, have a good night.
Yep, be safe out there. One up there?
Let's see.